Good evening. I'd like to call the Housing Commission's April 1st regular Housing Commission meeting to order. This is a hybrid meeting with Housing Commission members, city staff, and members of the public participating in the Oak Conference Room via Zoom. And the meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to introduce some staff with us this evening and Housing Commissioners present. For staff, we have Housing Manager Tim Wong, we have Management Analyst Ariana Milton, and Senior Planner Chris Turner. And for roll call, Vice Chair Beely is absent. Commissioner Chapo here. Commissioner Dumont
Here.
Commissioner Cranen here. Commissioner Orsler here. Chair Schweitzer's here, and Commissioner Wong
Here.
Great. Well, Ariana, can you please provide some instructions to the Housing Commission and members of the public how the meeting will proceed?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Schweitzer and members of the Housing Commission. Welcome everyone to the April 1st regular meeting of the Housing Commission, and thank you for attending. Staff will engage cameras and microphones to make presentations and respond to the members of the Housing Commission. For members of the public who are in attendance and wish to provide public comments on an item on tonight's agenda, after the chair calls for public comments on the item you wish to speak on, please engage the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen for virtual participants. For those who are calling in from a landline or a cell phone, please press *9. And for those who are in person, please complete the speaker card and bring it to me directly. That concludes the instructions, and I return the meeting to the chair. Thank you.
All right, well, on to public comment. So under public comment, the public may address the Housing Commission on any items that are not listed on the agenda. Each speaker may address the commission for a limit of 3 minutes, and you're not required to provide your name or city of address, but it is helpful to do so. The Housing Commission cannot act on these items that aren't listed on the agenda. So other than providing some general information, that would be the response for this period. And with that, do we have any public comment?
So no public comment online, and we don't see any indication for public comment in person this time.
All right, well, let's get on to some regular business. Moving on, we'll have some informational presentations as well as considering policy matters for regular business. And for our first item, we have some Housing Commission meeting minutes from that March 4th, 2026 meeting. And I can open that up for public comment.
We do not have any public comments on this item online or in person.
Bringing it back to the commission, if there's any clarifying questions or spelling errors, grammatical changes, or any of that, now's the time to bring that up.
My only question is, I know I was remote, it's not noted on the minutes. Is that something that's required to be noted? I have no objection if not, but.
No, we don't know on the minutes. That can definitely be changed. Yeah.
My only errata.
I think we were in this room and not the Cypress room, but I might be mistaken. I think we were here.
You're right. You were here.
Oh.
Good catch.
For that?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no worries.
Well, if there's no other items, I can entertain a motion for the amended minutes.
With those amendments, I would put forward a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay.
Minutes, sorry.
I'll second. Okay, great. So we have a motion by Commissioner Osler and a second by Commissioner Dumont to approve the housing meeting minutes for March 4th, 2026, with the amendment to note Commissioner Osler's online participation and also to change the meeting conference room from the Cypress room to the Oak room. I will now do a roll call vote. Vice Chair Beely is absent. Commissioner Chapa,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Dumont. Yes. Commissioner Crandon,
Yes.
Commissioner Ostler,
Yes.
Chair Switzer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wong.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 6-0 with one absence.
All right, on to D2. This is a consideration and make a recommendation to the planning commission to approve a below market rate housing agreement for 68 Willow Owners LLC. And this is for a 50-unit housing development project at 68 Willow Road. And for that, we have senior planner Chris Turner with us this evening for a presentation.
I have it up if you want me to join and then.
Share screen.
Yeah, it's not recognizing of the presentations up here. Oh, here we go.
All right.
The presentation wasn't valid.
Bear with us while
Yeah.
we get the presentation up.
Maybe promote me to a panelist and see if I can share.
Oh, I'll promote you guys. Okay, you should be.
There we go.
All right.
All right. Thanks, commissioners. I will keep this brief. We have seen this project before. So again, this is 68 Willow Road. Project is located in the C1 zoning district at the intersection of Willow Road and Willow Place. Surrounding properties are also in the C1 district and then the R3 and R3X across the street. And then a few single family developments further west. Then the project is also bordered by the San Francisco Creek to the southeast. The project is for 8 new townhouse buildings with a total of 50 units, along with on-site improvements. The major subdivision is still part of the actions that are being requested. When there is some open space and then landscaping, play structure amenities for the residents. As a quick overview of the BMR requirements, applicants are required to provide 15% of units as BMR units, which applies to the base density exclusive of any bonus units. Again, this project doesn't include bonus units. BMR So the BMR requirements apply to those 50 units. So in this case, 8 units are required to be BMR units, and they're required to be distinguishable market rate units. So again, this commission has seen this project, it was reviewed at the November 2025 Housing Commission meeting, where it was recommended approval for a for sale BMR agreement. After that meeting, the applicant expressed desire to bring an alternate BMR agreement to the Housing Commission, generally to provide flexibility in financing. So this new agreement would be for a rental project instead of a for sale project. And generally they state that this can ensure they can get the financing so that the housing can be built. So again, this alternate agreement is for a rental project. Our intent is to bring the 2 agreements to the planning commission together. The planning commission would act on both agreements. There would be a condition of approval on the use permit project, where they would have to decide at some point. I'll back up. Our standard condition, if there was only one BMR agreement, is for the agreement to get recorded prior to issuance of building permits. So that would still remain the case. So between the time the project is approved and when they submit building permits, the building permits be issued, they would need to decide in which direction they are going and then record the appropriate agreement. So the general requirement or the general layout of this agreement is the same, restricts 8 units for below market rates. Rental projects are required to be at the low income, whereas the market rate, the for sale projects, the units were proposed at moderate rate. So this agreement lays out that they would be limited to low income and 80% AMI, and then establishes the same 55-year affordability. So as staff, we recommend the planning commission the housing commission recommend approval to the planning commission of this alternate BMR agreement. And then again, the planning commission would see both agreements simultaneously, and then one of them would be recorded by issuance of with that, I don't have any more comments. We do have the applicant team online for any questions, and I can also answer any questions.
Thank you for that. If there's any questions from commissioners, we can take those.
I have one question. I'm assuming it's kind of a naive question, but I'm assuming that the configuration of all the units should be the same regardless of the type of purchase.
Everything is exactly the same. The units are the same units identified the last time, 1 unit in each of the buildings. They vary from in unit sizes. I can actually bring this up. So one unit in each building. Several of the unit types are, or all of the unit types are represented. So yeah, but generally it hasn't changed.
Has this happened before? Have you had to do something similar? Got it.
Not that I can think of.
Okay,
I think this would be the first time.
and is it an either or?
In this case, yes, this is an either or. I'll take that back. We have had other projects where within a single agreement, they can choose a rental path or and then at some point later on subdivide the property and then sell it. Which is a little bit different than this case. This is a true either or. And maybe the applicant can explain this a little better, but what they've explained is If it's a rental project, it will stay a rental project. If it's a for sale project, obviously they'll sell the units. So it is a, one of the things.
And what was the loan, the city loan? Was it tethered to for sale, or it was open for the project lead to decide? If for the,
Do you want to take that or I can respond?
Which one?
What? Yeah, it's based on the developer's choice.
Okay.
Whatever the developer proposes, the city will require 15 to be.
But it's
15%.
city loan. Though, it's not-
There's no financing,
Loan
it's
city.
just whatever the developer proposes, whether it's rental or ownership. The city will require 15% as affordable. So in this instance, however the developer proposes to move forward, the city will require that 15%.
okay,
Yeah, there's no financing involved.
okay. And finally, I guess that's the what will go here. I'm failing to grasp what a purchase deal won't capture that a rental would. Basically, I guess I understand that there's been a change in the market. That bit I understand. But nonetheless, I would like to understand what benefit the rental option has over the for sale.
From a BMR perspective, or from the developer perspective, or a developer.
Developers.
Yeah, I'm happy to touch on that. Chase Rapp here, and thank you, Commission, for hearing this. As ownership takes on this project, I think we're passing about 2 years now since we originally started this project. The first milestone is entitlement of the project and approvals from ultimately the Planning Commission. After that, we have to go through a construction drawing process, which would be building permit level drawings. And alongside that would be financing for the project to actually move to phase 2, which is the vertical development. When we started this project 2 years ago, we felt very confident in the landscape of financing for equity and debt to be able to build these homes on a for sale basis. And now we're concerned that we may not be able to find equity and debt on a for sale basis. So we want to reserve the right to hopefully be able to bring these units to fruition in some way, whether they're for rent or for sale. And so that's why we're trying to get ahead of this instead of moving forward with only one option and having to revert back, which would take a lot more time after the fact of the approvals.
And then before we get any further into some of these clarifying questions and discussion, let's take public comment on the item. If there's any public comment for this agenda item.
We do not have any public comment online. Okay, definitely. Just bring up the timer, because we have 3 minutes.
Let us get the timer. All right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick Yee. I live at 210 Waverly Street in Menlo Park, so very close to this proposed development. And as a neighbor, I am supportive of this development. I think it's a very great place to live. They have amenities, walking across the creek to Palo Alto, Johnson Park, and very walkable to Burgess Park here. With regards to the BMR agreement, I thought it's nice that the developer puts one BMR unit in every single unit, kind of spreading them out. I thought it was nice that they rounded up to 8 instead of rounding down to 7. Just had more units versus they didn't move. And I also thought it was nice that they didn't make all the small units affordable, the BMR units. They kind of had a variety. So from the BMR perspective, it seems quite nice. More thoughtful of the developer.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, that will conclude public comments on this item.
Now back to our clarifying questions and our discussion here. So, I think just wanting to check back in if you, Commissioner Chapa, had gotten your answer to that, or if you wanted to go a little bit further into.
I do understand,
Okay.
yes, the prudence that the developer is taking to have generate options. Yeah.
Thanks. I have a question that I'm sure this was already on the one we looked at before. It's just that when we saw a map of properties and the C one category, then some of the property was on the other side of Willow Place. But I guess that's just not part of this development, just happened to be on the map we saw earlier, I guess. It's presented, so just.
Yeah, the surrounding properties
Yeah.
are in the C one, it's just.
Yeah.
one.
Thanks, yeah. It's just-
Completely up to you if you're comfortable, but I would appreciate color on like how financing is going right now. Like, I understand the market's getting harder, but what specifically is leading you towards this concern, basically?
Sorry, could you say that one more time? The view towards the concern?
Yeah, I guess I'm just asking for color, like, is the problem that lending is tightening, or that mortgage rates are doing something, or what's the specific concern that leads you to want this optionality, basically?
Mortgage rates are not coming down where we thought they were when we forecasted from when we started this project 2 years ago. Construction costs continue to go up, and so that makes financing tougher. Equity groups feel more comfortable making a bet on rental housing over for sale housing in areas like this. And so there's a triangulation of a lot of things that have to go right in order to have successful equity and debt financing for a project like this.
Okay, thank you.
Is it feasible that there's a possibility of a single investor in the affordable space possibly acquiring the BMRs for their management and their rental and investment? Is that a possible scenario for financing to partner with?
I would have to defer to Tim Wong on this. I don't know. I haven't researched that.
Yeah, that's a very unique question. Haven't heard that, but typically with these, the 15% set asides, it's since the entire development is already being managed by one property manager. Typically, they do we work with them for the affordable units. It's never really been posed to separate out and have two property managers for one rental development. And so,
Thank you.
that's typically.
So what you're kind of saying is there's these different flavors, that it's private development with 15%, and then there's 100% that's.
And I will say, probably nonprofits don't want to manage a 6 unit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's true.
and so it's something we could look into, but yeah, typically it's just done by the property manager of the entire development.
Just to confirm, in terms of the target number of below market rate units we have, it doesn't matter whether they're rental or for sale, right?
It doesn't matter, that's
Okay.
dependent on the developer, but the city gladly accepts. Affordable unit.
I mean, it's a win in either case.
Yeah, because even on the rental side, there's a housing element program that we would like larger unit rentals, and this provides that. Or we also stress ownership, so that also, either scenario benefits the city.
Gotcha, so it's not like there's a preference for ownership over rental, it all is the same.
Correct, yeah, there are benefits for both.
Oh, small clarifying question, I guess. So, is 80% AMI for the rental option and 120 for the ownership? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
And that's just part of the code, it's in city code.
That's part of the BMR guidelines, correct?
Oh, guys.
Maybe if there's no clarifying questions, kind of kicking off maybe some comments here. I definitely appreciate, the applicant coming back before the Housing Commission. This is your second time, and thank you for coming to us in November of last year and looking for that. I think having a for sale option in our community is great. And advancing housing just at large is also great. So I can sympathize with wanting to have, say, a menu of options when it comes to actually making it pencil out and financing the actual project. So I think it would be in the city's interest to have housing on this site, and making that actually come to fruition, whether it's rental or for sale. I think either would be a good option. So just wanting to commend you for that, and definitely agree with staff's recommendation. So
So one more clarifying question, really for my own education, there was a reference to major subdivision in your presentation. I'm just wondering what that means.
Yeah, so if it remains a for sale project, the land has to be subdivided into basically condominium units. So that was part of the original package. There's a tentative subdivision map, which is a separate entitlement that the city council actually has to act on. So the idea would be to still take the tentative map to city council for approval, just so they have that approval if they do go the ownership route. If they go the rental route, they just wouldn't follow through with the subdivision. Generally, you have to come back with a final subdivision map that's very technical. And then that's what gets recorded with the county. Completes the subdivision process. So we just want to have the tentative map approval still in place.
And what's the bar for major subdivisions?
5 parcels basically. So anything below that, it's a parcel map that can be approved by the planning commission. Anything 5 or over, that needs to go to the city council.
Thank you, appreciate it.
A final question, I guess, for the developer, is there a cost difference for either route necessarily? Because if it's for sale, there's a final touch to tailor to the buyer. But if it's a rental, you can standardize necessarily. Just from my understanding, is that a significant cost difference? No.
There is. Impact fees are different, as well as insurance is different for the actual project.
Thank you.
I'm happy to make a motion at this point. Does anyone else have questions before I do that? Okay, then I would make a motion to approve this dual option fee.
A second then.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we have a motion by Commissioner Osler and a second by Commissioner Chapa to recommend that the planning commission approve the below market rate housing agreement with 68 Willow Owners LLC for a 50-unit housing development project at 68 Willow Road. I will now do a roll call vote. Vice Chair Beatley is absent. Commissioner Chapa,
Yes.
Commissioner Dumont,
Yes.
Commissioner Creighton,
Yes.
Commissioner Osler,
Yes.
Chair Switzer,
Yes.
Commissioner Wong.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 6-0 with 1 absence.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for the education, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, well, reports and announcements coming up, so. Do we have any individual commissioner updates? Anything anyone would like to share? If not,
I'll just say one thing, I don't know, I don't know when I sent to the mailing list, if everybody gets it or whatever, that I sent something to the, okay. About the reporting on the, what is it, the yearly report or the annual report, or housing development, or housing, element, attainment. It looks like the Embarcadero, media does a really good job of doing some charts, and I just commented charts were really quite good and seeing how we're doing as well. And it looks like they do it for every city now, when they report on their,
Sure. I was able to attend the community resource fair and stop at the development's desk. I guess they manage the ADU program. It was the first time I learned that with the city, it's the owners of that manage the ADU. Other communities have HIP housing, and EPA can manage the ADU component. But I like that the city allows the owner of the property to vet who the tenant is going to be, because, yeah.
Well, we can move on to a community outreach and resource fair update. Believe that we've had some ongoing work behind the scenes with city staff to plan for that upcoming resource fair in Bellhaven. And staff would like to maybe have any items.
Sure, yeah, so staff has, as far as like outreach goes, staff has finalized our postcard flyer, and that was made available last week at the event at the HCC, so got to kind of send that out. And then also we'll have it available at the Love Our Earth event, which is going to be April 25th in East Palo Alto. We're also working with our brand manager Kendra to get the postcard flyers posted on all the city social medias. So that includes Instagram, X, Nextdoor, LinkedIn. And then once they're uploaded, I'll be reaching out to you guys just to let you know so you can share the post. Yeah, so that'll be next. And then as far as the fair planning, we're still continuing to follow up with our resource organizations. And we have gotten a few RSVPs already, which is exciting. But the RSVP date is going to be April 10th. So I'll also be sending a follow-up to them as well this week to make sure they RSVP and join us. That's really about. Oh, do you want to talk about your hashtags?
Oh.
How about the commissioner video?
Yeah.
That's still happening. It's still
Okay.
set for later in April. If you're interested, we have one person share, starring, but we need one more person. So yeah, just let me know.
So I think we had a little back and forth. I had forgotten about these hashtags, but I'll read them now. Just trying to come up with a little bit of, I guess, wayfinding or catchphrase for the fair. So that would be potentially, we have 5 bullet points here. Find your Menlo or find your Menlo Park. And the catchphrase could be like, find your place in Menlo Park. It would be, another catchphrase would be opening doors in Menlo Park. A hashtag could be Menlo Housing for All. Or another catchphrase would be your path to housing starts here. So just trying to keep it short, but somewhat engaging.
Yeah.
Can you remind me what the video thing was about? I forgot.
So we're planning on just shooting like a little 15-30 second like video advert to advertise for the fair. It would just be like around campus here on our brand manager's iPhone, not too crazy. But yeah, so we're thinking of doing that. We'll of course like create like a little write-up for whoever wants to participate. So you're not, blind. So yeah. So again, if you're interested, just let me know.
Invite your fellow community members to.
We need background. Absolutely.
There you go. Bring your posse.
Yes.
Well, all exciting news. Is there any recommendations for future agenda items from commissioners or?
might be misremembering, did at some point we said we were going to form subcommittees, but did we form them?
And reworking.
Yeah,
We agendized the item to talk about possible subcommittees, but we
Right.
did not actually form them.
okay,
I believe that we settled on trying to create subcommittees that were revolving around the
Three,
current work.
Yeah.
yeah.
Bring the other two work goals.
I guess then my question is, when do we plan to discuss forming that, if that's an agenda item?
That would be a good recommended agenda item.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've actually, that reminds me, I think it was the intent behind that was kind of having like an owner almost or shepherd for some of those work plan goals.
Yeah.
So that would be a good thing to have in the future. I know we have at least one for the, community outreach, kind of that goal. But the other two are
still to be
without
discussed.
shepherds.
Where a lot of things kind of hinging on the matrix portion.
I think some of it was hinging on council's response
Yeah.
to the anti-displacement plan and maybe provide the subcommittee or the committee and therefore the subcommittees a little greater direction based on some of their comments.
Right.
And that's a future agenda item is anti-displacement plan and review. So I think that's kind of where the decision making, do the pause.
Okay.
Until the plan.
Whatever staff feels is best, I just, I'd love to do more on the subcommittees, but.
I think we had 3 future agenda items from last month already, so the list is growing.
Accumulated.
Yeah.
Got anti-displacement on our site, so we wanna make sure that that comes before you guys as soon as possible, and then I feel like we'll be able to kind of focus on the other items after that.
Sure. Are there any updates or announcements? I mean, we kind of touched a little bit on some, but from staff, if there's any other items or.
I'm just, Ariana mentioned, yes, April 25th is Love Our Earth, that's more sustainability, that's an annual, done with. East Palo Alto, but, the city will be well represented there. And so, and also, I think last Saturday, no, Saturday before. The city council had its prior goal setting, and I don't know what you were able to. Attend or just check in, but their priorities stayed the same, except. That public safety got moved up and emergency preparedness, which a lot has already been done, got. Reverted down, if you will. So,
Relegated.
but housing is always a priority. They're always very focused on that, along with the downtown. Revitalization, so, just a quick recap about these council's upcoming goals for the year. Other than that, no other.
Yeah, I was able to attend, and one of the insights I got is I got excited about how the relationship between the housing and the environmental justice was emphasized and identified, because really, I'm persuaded that unless somebody's is looking after themselves, they can't look after anything else. So there's a strong connection between the two. Yeah.
And I can coordinate offline, but for the next meeting, I'll be remote, so I can coordinate the details of that.
So just curious, in terms of public safety, is it more recent burglary or? Yeah, what aspect of public safety are?
Yes, there has been
Okay.
a string,
Yes.
in
Yeah.
West Menlo Park, and so there's heightened concern. about
I was not there, but I heard there was a small cluster, it wasn't a lot of people, but there were enough
Yeah.
and with focused enough that it shifted to.
Yes, and based on that, there was. Community concern. The meeting.
Well, I recently read the city of Milpitas is gifting Ring cameras for safety, so.
Yeah. Heard that. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll help, but sharing news.
Yeah, that's the major change, is the elevation of public safety.
Well, if there's no other updates or announcements or questions, I can adjourn the meeting at 7:11.